Yep. Give me a nod when you're ready.
Like fourth.
Shooter's ready. Stand by.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 3GIQ. I'm here with my co-host Frank Gao, and I have Alex Goking back again. What a surprise. But today, what I wanted to talk about, especially since this episode, when it's released, is going to be right before Marine Corps Championships. I wanted to specifically discuss Marine Corps Championships with Alex Goking. So for those of you that don't really know, Marine Corps Championships is where we kind of gather the best shooters in the Marine Corps, do the Marine Corps marksmanship competitions, and then we bring them all to Quantico, and they kind of shoot their match against each other, and it's it's kind of a way to find out who is the top 10% in the Marine Corps. So, Alex, my first question to you is, can you explain to the listeners the importance of the significance of the Marine Corps Championships?
Absolutely. So to start off, I think it's something that we say a lot, that marksmanship's in our blood as Marines and all that good noise. And the Marine Corps marksmanship competitions are where we really put that to the test. We've had our regionals done from Okinawa to Hawaii to Pendleton, NCR, you name it. East is going on right now over at Lejeune. So that's where it's pretty much our regionals to, as you guys are extremely familiar with, where we find the best shooters of their area. So then we take those who medal, which is typically the top 10% of the competition, and we give them an all expense paid trip to Camp Upshur here at TBS side in Quantico to duke it out to see who truly is the best shooter in the Marine Corps. Now, I know there might be some people thinking like, well, how do we know who the best shooter is in the Marine Corps if maybe not everybody made it to the marksmanship competitions? Well, there's probably really good fighters outside of the UFC, but there are those who essentially make it to actually prove themselves. So that's what championships is. Those who made it to the mix beat out everybody else underneath that 10%, get to come to championships and figure out who actually can deliver lead on demand downrange.
Yeah, I'd like to add, so Marine Corps Championships has been going on for quite a while, and it's seen a lot of different changes over the years. We'll start with, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, the teens, Marine Corps Championships. It was mainly a high power discipline where, you did, precision pistol and bullseye rifle. And that was what we had at the time. And that's how we determined. And it was more or less a feeder program to the Marine Corps shooting team to go compete at CMP Nationals. Well, back in 2017, I want to say it was, that's when the team formally brought on the Marine Corps marksmanship competitions in the current form that they are now, and they're action-based, practical shooting-based, and it wasn't until 2021 that we exclusively had an all action shooting or practical shooting championships. And so, this year, I think it's going to be much of the same. Am I right, Alex?
Yes, for the most part, absolutely. There's going to be heavy emphasis on, I would say, the modern versions of a lot of sports that we still do compete in. Just now, kind of like collective experiences in the Marine Corps have led us to this point to where we're going up against each other in what used to be predominantly, at least, high powers. Now gas gun, what used to be bullseye pistol, is now USPSA, and multi-gun is where kind of we blend a lot of those worlds in together in this like crazy mashup of just about every skill you can think of in its own way without excessive overlap. So yeah, so that's where we're what we're looking at. There will be a match out there, which we're still in the final phases of planning on, something that we can use to that the team can use to see who possesses the skill sets or propensity to be able to do good for the high power season for sure. So that's what we're looking at for this championships.
Nice. So I do want to talk about some of the lessons you guys took from the last championships and how you're applying it to this year to make it a better match. Before that, can we quickly go into a week overview of what championship's going to look like? So everyone's going to show up on Monday, the 27th, right?
Mm-hmm. So 27th is where we finalize every bit of billeting. There are obviously going to be competitors coming a little bit early, especially if they're traveling from like a vastly different time zone. So they're going to be rolling in, and then the 28th is when we get everyone like, hey, this is give everyone the match brief, and everyone's zeroed and held, or for them to conduct their holds. Right after that, the 29th, we're going to start with the USPSA, or the action pistol match, where people are going to go up against each other with their pistols and whatnot. After that, we're going to roll into the gas gun match, which is going to be a combination of the PRS and the rifle team running, or at least that is the result of what they're doing. Excuse me, I skipped something. The pistol day, the 29th, is also going to have a night match. It's going to be white light. So we're going to be providing guns with white light, so people can understand, or at least be exposed to that low light, artificial light source type shooting at night. We would be doing it with night vision, but for anyone who's ever done it, shooting iron sights under nods is
it's not a good time.
It's really it's definitely extremely nuanced, as you've experienced yeah, we're gonna have a night match for pistol. The next day we're gonna roll right into the gas gun match. Let's hope for good wind. If not, let's hope for good times. And that's the 30th, and the 31st we're gonna roll into the multi-gun match. So historically, which I can talk about, I think there's a question for that a little bit later on, but it's going to be its own match with its own medals. I can go through the nuances there, or like the specifics, but it's essentially going to be its own match for shooters to shoot. Okay. The next day, it's going to be Saturday the 1st. We're going to be rolling into a modified version of the ARQ. It's in a way, it's how do we sporterize the ARQ to make it like an extremely competitive event. That's currently in the works. I don't have as much information out, as we still haven't hit our FPC, but I think that's going to be a pretty good event for both identifying the potential high power competitors, as well as just seeing what the ARQ could be, right? Rolling after that, we're going to be doing the rifle night match, which is going to consist of a couple distance stages and a couple base stages. So the night match that people have been waiting for throughout the makes something a little bit more close range flavored. We have the ability to do that definitely on Quantico. We know the environment. We know what we can do in order to create a smooth match flow. And Sunday's going to be a weather day. We're going to hopefully it stays a weather day, or at least an inactive weather day, because for those who were at last year, like, it's, a little bit of rest is really important, especially how mentally and even emotionally degrading, I wouldn't say degrading, but taxing the championships is, right? Then Monday, we're going to have 3 team matches. We're going to have the ITT, the pistol team match, which is going to be the pistol team match. I looked at the diagram. It's going to be a wild time. It's going to be it'll be very similar to a lot of shoot-offs you see in the action sports. And for the action team match, we're taking the helm on the interdivision medal and creating it's a very weird hybrid of the ITT combat EIC matches that the Army puts on, but with the spice of robots on wheels. So that's going to be a wild time, and I know we have a slot to talk about that later on. But that's essentially what it looks like.
Yeah, definitely want to leave the team match for discussion near the end. Those are always fun. You know, all the regions get together, they're cheering on their teams. It's a good show of camaraderie. And I mean, Matt, the pistol match, the team matches that you guys put on, that blend of like gas gun and action, and also just us like blasting all that steel. That was freaking memorable, especially since the team I was on did it in like 18 seconds and everyone just went apeshit afterwards. But of course, it wouldn't be a podcast if I didn't give Matt kudos for the 2021 championships.
But
I can't accept all of them. I mean, let's be real. Like, yes, I helped put that stuff on, but it just wasn't me behind there. You had Chris Scott, who did a lot. You know, you had Sam Loreno, Scott Rader, you know, and Sam Loreno for that year designed the majority of the stages. You know, he took those he took ownership of all that and put it on himself. It was just me. It was me and Chris kind of just like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is our intent. This is what we want to achieve. And the guys ran with it, and the guys did a phenomenal job with it. You know, I can't take all the credit for that.
Yeah, it was a great time. It's always going to be a cherished memory. But Alex, so the way championships were last year, I assume like any good Marine Corps unit, you guys got together and you hot washed what didn't work and what went great. What are some things that you guys are trying to carry over into this year? And what are some things that you're trying to change in this year's championships?
So carry over. I think there's and it actually blends into the two questions. What we're carrying over is the after action from last year. What we could have done better last year has everything to do with the planning process, but that's neither here nor there. This year, we have a head start on making sure the event runs smooth, making sure we have all our ducks in a row, making sure all teams know exactly where they need to be, and we've actually gone down to the details on how we can make it staffing and competing possible, because anyone who's ever run a match knows that to compete and run a match at the same time is absolute hell.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like anybody, and this is, you know, shout out to all the MDs out there, RMs, all that good noise. Like that stuff is hard. Even running a local match is wild. Like you just have to accept that you're probably going to take a 5 to 10% cut from your performance that day. But that's a good thing, because in the end, people don't remember MDs who win their own match. People remember like how well a match was run. Going into the point of championships, yes, we want this to be a competitive event. Yes, we want to see who the best out there is. But how do we make this an event where people aren't to include the team members like excessively smoked, where we can't do, where it's just like instead of an event of I can't wait for the next event this week, we don't want that to turn into a oh my gosh, I can't wait for today to be over. So that goes all the way back into the planning process, which we've been hammering down really hard.
Yeah, that's good to hear. It was surprising. Last year had some really late nights, and yeah, hopefully things are a lot more efficient this time.
Oh, for sure. Especially, I can confidently say that now. The team has this was actually part of the current OIC Cap Williams vision of the things that he wanted this year was for all three at least put a greater emphasis, because it would be wrong to say that everyone hated each other or something. No, everyone was great with each other, but the teams this year is just great. Like we are working with each other so much, so well, and we're getting stuff done, and we can really we can lean on each other really, really well this season.
Well, I think that kind of really goes into like whenever I first got to the team, I'll be the first one to tell you every team hated each other. Like not one person from the pistol team to the 3-gun team to the rifle team really got along. And you know, it wasn't until about 6 months after I got there that everything just started coming together and all the teams really started working toward a common goal. And, and, you know, everything just kind of clicked and everybody was shooting each other's disciplines at that point. And, you know, that's just the natural flow of where you guys are going through. You know, and I'll be the first one to say the face of the team has drastically changed, but the focus has really remained the same. And that's kind of where you're at. You guys, you know, there was a lot of friction at first, but now everything's kind of come together. But you know, to kind of lead to the question, what role are you assuming with championships at this point?
So initially, I made the decision to be like months ago, like I want to make sure this match runs good. I'm going to take a step back, not even compete. Because if you were to give me a choice between running an event or competing in it, I will almost always try to lean towards running it just because I don't know exactly why, but that's just something that I kind of attach myself to that, you know, if I competed and won everything, I would be less satisfied than doing pretty all right and seeing people at the end of each day going, whoa, this is one hell of a trip. Like this is an experience. And that kind of, I think we all have a certain level of it, but a lot of the guys on the team, yeah, we like winning. The only thing we like more than winning is not losing, which usually means winning. But that goes away after a while, especially when you don't win. But it goes away after a while. But the thing that never goes away is when you see a competitor at a Mick or championships, you know what? This was a wild event. Thank you guys for putting this up. It kind of gets you all giddy and makes you feel like you actually deserve to be where you're at. And it's just like, you know, and that's what I had in mind. Over time, a lot of the, you know, the teammates, when I say teammates, I mean, not just the action team. I mean, the rifle team, the pistol team, the leadership of the team, you know, they were like saying like, yeah, you should just shoot it, you know? And I was thinking like, okay, cool. Then we're gonna have to plan well. But at the same time, I made that decision before we started the Mick season. I made that decision before I knew what my teammates brought to the table. And the past few months showed me that everybody on the team, it was actually a matter of of stopping ourselves from burning out because everybody poured their heart and souls into every Mick we went to in the past few that we, you know, like I immediately, I was just like, you know what? I have a really good team to my left and right. I think I can compete and staff at the same time because I know that that people can fill in the gaps for each other pretty freaking well. So this championships, I will be, I have designed the multi-gun match outside of the bonus stage. That's going to be a little bit of a secret for now because Staff Sergeant Tyler Ariano is working that. He took that like full ownership. So I told him, hey, you know, like freaking, I'm in support. Just you know, send it. There's going to be a bonus stage on the multi-gun day, but my involvement is going to be, well, what can I do to make sure planning on my end is good enough to where it's going to be a smooth match, even if I wasn't, even if I could not help out. And now I'm comfortable, obviously, because a lot of the guys have put in a lot of work to the season. Like it's wild.
No, that's really good to hear. I mean, and like I know I kind of know what it's like to kind of sit on the sidelines and just do nothing but match management and come up with all that stuff because shoot, in my 4.5+ years, whenever I was on the team, I shot 1 championships. I wanted to shoot last year's championships because it would have been my last chance to really go distinguished before retirement. It just never happened though. I was working over at the FBI. I wasn't getting the range time. I had the opportunity to really go, but my focus was different at that point. And, you know, at that point, it was just like, I need to retire. I need to plan for retirement. I need to do all that. So one thing I'll suggest to you is don't let the opportunity, like going distinguished isn't everything, but I would say it's something special to go to get, like winning medals. Like, yeah, it's great. You're one of the few like we are all one of the few people in the entire Marine Corps who have who have earned leg points and who has medals. And going distinguished, I would say, is something that not many Marines really have the opportunity to do. So at some point, take the time for yourself to get those points to go distinguished.
For sure. And I think like this, initially I never really had any like dreams of going distinguished, because my goal has always been I need to be a GM in anything, just not revolver. But like, another way to look at it is like going distinguished. You're going to sacrifice a little bit of time, but like this is a very small thing. But going distinguished means that when I return to the fleet, that's one less range slot that needs to be used. That could go to somebody else who needs it. That means one less week that I have to be outside of the office to do my job. And for all my fellow E6s and staff sergeants out there, freaking, we got to keep going. Like this shit's rough. It means we can be like, put ourselves in other places more often. And I think that's kind of one of my incentives. And on top of that, it is kind of our job on teams to work our EIC points. But like the essence of what you were saying is like, yes, it is an opportunity to be had. But I like how you were able to, like you're coming from the mindset of my priority is everyone else, the competitors and the match. But every now and then you got to be like, hey, let me get a couple points because that's still part of my job. So like, I feel you on that.
Yeah, I appreciate the both of you guys putting aside your personal aspirations to ensure overall match quality, because I mean, you're right. When a new shooter comes to championships and they get exposed to that much competition in such a condensed format, shooting alongside the best in the Marine Corps, it's life-changing. And that's something they bring back to their units, and they have an entirely new perspective on marksmanship. So I really appreciate it. I mean, the volunteers in the practical shooting world definitely deserve a lot of credit. But Alex, I want to talk about stage design, because what keeps Quantico matches are perpetually full. And part of that is because you have been designing some really good stages within the limitations of what SAT allows us to do, not being allowed to use those side berms. They're pretty darn good. And it doesn't hurt that QSC also has a lot of props and a lot of other walls and a lot of things that you can play around with. Where do some of your inspirations come from? Do you have like a reservoir of these just kind of built up? Are you like, when you watch a video online of someone shooting, are you looking at that as a shooter or a stage designer first?
Absolutely. Actually, honestly, when I watch, so this is a weird thing about me. When I was still like active in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, MMA, I watched probably the least amount of UFC, the least amount of like jiu-jitsu mundials stuff compared to the rest of my teammates. I just like I don't know, that's just me. I prefer to learn on the spot. I do watch shooters move, especially if I need to tune up on footwork. I look at JJ Rakaza and whatnot. But I do remember stages that I see. It's like, oh snap, that looks like fun. That would be so cool if everyone in the area gets to do it. But I would say that my interest in like actual stages was when I was out in Arizona when I was stationed at Yuma. When you live in the barracks and you have to drive out to go to a match and pay non-BAH, non-BAS money, it's like you kind of want to know where your money's worth. And there's a man named John Glover down at Yuma Matchmasters who, like, he had so much focus on it. Like when we would set up in the mornings, like we would be out there, whatever Glover said was like, hey, put that over here. Okay, move it a little bit. All right, cool, this is good. And then we just like, build the match the morning of a competition. We'd be there at 4:30 sometimes because of like the heat in Yuma. But that's where I saw like, holy crap, like what's Glover thinking about now? What's he going to make us do? Is it going to be another unloaded start? But that's where it started. And that's when I started to compare his match to other matches. And I started to see like, okay, the effort that somebody who designs a match to make it interesting and how much freedom he can provide to the competitor because of his hard work kind of like set the tone for me. It's like, how much work do I have to do in order for the shooter to only be briefed the following? Start anywhere inside or outside the shooting area, pistol loaded and holstered, engage targets as they become visible. To make your stage brief short as possible requires a crap ton of homework, but that's kind of where it started out. And when I started to dabble into 3-gun stage design, I started looking at what Adam Maxwell did. I 100% looked into what is Jason Byerly going to make me do this year at Memorial? Like, what dilemma is he going to put me in? So lots of sources of inspiration for sure.
Yeah, nice.
So, Marine Corps Championships also has another aspect to it. So not only are we looking for the top 10% in the entire Marine Corps, but we're also looking for, or you guys, I can't say we because I'm not part of it anymore, but you guys are looking for to see who is the best division in the Marine Corps, whether it's, Lejeune, whether it's Camp Pendleton, Hawaii, and then Far East. So you have the team match aspect, and traditionally the team match has been a very bullseye centric, replicating a controlled movement to contact, starting at the 600-yard line and then moving down. This year you've masterfully used marathon targets, giving the competitors a classic but fresh and much needed change, blending tradition with modern day. Can you run the listeners through some of what to expect at the team match?
For sure. And if you're listening, this is good homework. I'm still going to brief you on match day and during the match brief. But when the current CO's directive was to definitely make use of the marathons. And one thing I absolutely love about robot targets is it really reduces reset times to pretty much zero. And that was the biggest center for me. How do I keep Marines away from the pits? So, and how do I keep them from pasting targets if I can help it? So I took inspiration from ITT, and you've interviewed him before, Austin Hill. Last year's championships at ITT, I saw him masterfully coach captain one of those. I wasn't sure what his build was exactly. I'm still pretty ignorant on certain things, but I understand now. Watching him run his team through, I was just like, holy crap, that is so freaking good. The way he was spotting for each one, adjusting them, all that stuff, that was a huge inspiration for me. I'm like, how can I make somebody like Austin Hill? This sounds a little weird, but for competitive shooters, you might understand what I'm trying to say. Austin Hill can coach somebody this much better, and his team will do this much better than the other team. How can I make his coaching ability during a team match really, how do I test that even further? How do I demand not just 80% of an Austin Hill, but 95% of him? And so I wanted to create a match that was 100% ITT, not 100%. Mostly IT. It was an inspiration from ITT, the combat ASC matches that the Army does when I shot all Army with them over there. How do I make that in a different flavor? How do I make things a little bit interesting with a little bit more interesting because we have the technology now? We didn't have, there was the brief last year, the guest speaker last year at championships talked about the skirmisher matches. How do I pit people against each other? So wanted to create something which, fingers crossed, because we still have to do it on a test range. So if at this point, if it's exactly how I envision it to be, it's going to be, it's going to have elements of ITT in terms of moving from yard line to yard line, but now your targets are going to be doing different things. They're going to be doing some weird stuff. They're going to put you in a challenge. And when I created the match, I thought of, and obviously my inspiration was Austin Hill, who was the head coach of the high power team at the time. It's like, how do I create a match where you want somebody who is pretty versatile with a rifle? Because I can tell you right now, there will be no barricades, mostly because I want to, how do I cut down, shot to shot time for each team? But what that led to is there are going to be some targets that might be better off taken offhand. There might be some targets that are going to be better taken from the prone, maybe even the kneeling. So I wanted to introduce that challenge almost to see what it might look like. So that's what the match is going to be. You're going to be shooting targets under the targets will have different behaviors at every yard line. So they're going to be doing weird stuff. So how does a coach or team captain manage his or her shooters? These are the conditions. I want to see what people can do. So it's definitely my benefit. My incentive is to see what Marines can do in our ability to work as a team in the realm of marksmanship.
So what would you say would kind of enhance their success?
In terms of what?
For the team match, what skills would they need to bring on? Like good communication, good spotting, movement up there, not gassing yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
So I would say first is at the individual level, knowing what you can and can't do, and that's the beauty of competition, right? Everyone says, all right, competition, gunfight, all that stuff. Like I'm not a subject matter expert on getting shot at, but I do know what a competition brings in terms of what can't I do? Oh snap! It turns out that I cannot shoot a 200-yard target on the move. So knowing what you can and can't do is going to be a big deal. And there's going to be that dilemma whether should I take the safe route or should I go for my slightly lower percentage ability, such as can I do a headshot on a moving target that's about 100 to 200 yards away. So knowing what you can do is going to be a very big help, especially because I am limiting the amount of ammo an entire team can have, just like an ITT. So on top of that is, on top of your shooting ability, what's your cardio like? Are you going to take it easy and take something in the prone when you get there? Or are you going to chase after the targets before they're far enough and take a shot kind of gassed, but an accurate shot nonetheless? Because, I want to incentivize good physical ability. I'm not the best example of that, just so everyone here knows, but doesn't mean I don't want to incentivize it. And it's not going to be crazy. Like if you can pass an 880, you can 100% do well here. So I'll leave it there. There's going to be a lot of, oh, that's what he meant when the match actually happens. And as a team, can you communicate? It's going to be more than just like, hey, like you're going to want to talk to your buddies like, hey, I'm going to talk about an extreme here. Hey man, I can't make this shot. Here's my magazine. Give it to me when you're done. Or, hey, are you guys topped off for the next one? Oh, snap. I forgot to do that. Thanks, team leader. Or like, just how do you manage as a team captain or a team coach? How do you manage your team's ability to deliver that small arms fire is probably the best that I can say. But it'll be it'll all make sense once the actual stage briefs start. And you're not going to be able to watch the previous team do it. I'm sorry. You're going to hang out behind the 600-yard line. It's not exactly a blind stage. It's definitely not a deaf stage, but shooters will not be able to watch what's going on. So I'll tell you that. So yeah, that's the best I can say for the team match. It'll be a wide spectrum of challenges. On top of that, I'm willing to bet that you want somebody good at you want a team that has a very diverse set of skills. Like, do you have somebody who can shoot offhand really well? Do you have somebody who knows how to establish a good mag rested prone? You kind of want everybody.
Okay.
So, yep.
Well, I think this kind of concludes the questions unless you have anything else, Frank.
No, I got nothing else. Alex, I'm looking forward as a competitor to seeing what you have set up for us, and very much looking forward to this year's championships.
And whenever I'm over there on base, because that's where my new job has taken me,
Yeah.
I will try and plan out going over there and watching some of this go on. So looking forward to being closer to you guys, seeing championships unfold as a spectator. And, unless you have anything else, I appreciate everything.
The last thing I have actually, and I feel like it'll be a one last kind of like plug on the marksmanship competitions. It was a conversation we had today, and a conversation I had with a separate podcast, actually, which I'll send you guys the link once it's there. And I hope I wasn't. I hope I sounded at least decent or at least positive with the message. One other thing outside of the tradition of marksmanship in the Marine Corps and trying to figure out who the best shooter is. Everybody in this conversation right now, and even a majority of the listeners, can really say that there's a different almost hidden but open secret when it comes to these micmics. When you go out to one of these micmics, you are going to be put under stress. You're going to be put on the clock. You're going to have performance anxiety. But there's something extremely cathartic about the shooting sports that we bring in the micmic. Yes, you're going to be stressed out. Yes, you may be gassed a little bit. Yes, you might have some times when you're like, I am not the shooter that I thought I was, or I think I am. The other side of this thing is you are literally in a group of people that only talk about shooting. You're only there to do one thing. And you are there to have conversations. You are there to be around people of different backgrounds, different MOSs, and you come together with a common goal. And I think there's a very therapeutic effect of being at a micmic and just being there to shoot. So I want my message is to kind of like start thinking about that, because if you have Marines that you know are probably like, even something as a perfect example or an easy example would be, hey, you're bogged down, you're working day and night, you're staying after 1900. I'm going to send you to this Marine Corps marksmanship competition in this region. I want you to take a break, but still do some good work, because this stuff is, when we're talking about emotional health, the Marine Corps marksmanship competitions don't seem like that at first, but once you're there, people, you will understand that this is more than just a competition. This is a way for you to get centered again so that you go back to your unit ready to do some good stuff. And I think that's something we don't talk about very often about these competitions. And I know you guys understand that very well, because you guys are very much big and consistent competitors. That is all.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Really look forward to seeing what you guys bring out there. And looking forward to talking to some of the competitors and just seeing everything that you guys have going on. So to the listeners, thank you for listening. Again, let us know what you think. Give us a rating, give us a review. We look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks.